good night. Well, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. This is a wonderful, wonderful place. It's a great event. Elaine, congratulations to you. You know, I know the 42nd Ward has always been a good ward, but I know that under your leadership, it's just going to continue to grow and develop and be a stable part of the great Democratic Party that we have in our city. We have a great Democratic Party.
Elaine, I'm glad to have Elaine on my team. I'm looking forward to a very big Democratic victory on November the 4th. I'm looking forward to my swearing in on January 5th, and I want everyone from the 42nd Ward to be there.
I want to first thank you for May 20th. You stood up strong for me and delivered me very well across the city. And 42nd Ward was one of the top wards in terms of producing votes for me. That's because you have a great ward leader. She's a new ward leader, but she's a great ward leader. I know she was going to be a great ward leader, so I've worked with her actually starting maybe up to 10 years ago when she was organizing a business association. Because what we do politically is try to develop communities.
So thanks for coming out, folks. Let's give it up for Elaine Tomlin, and make a huge difference in a second. And all those folks down the end of Olney, I know we told you it was a great Olney umbrella giveaway, but that was just to get you to show up. You're actually going to buy the umbrella.
Hello, my name is Elaine Tomlin. I am a ward leader and state committee person in Philadelphia County. I have always wanted to have an opportunity to communicate with people from all walks of life about the issues that are of common interest to us all. Unfortunately, there are not enough hours in a day for me to knock on the thousands of doors in this fast-paced and ever-changing city that we live in. Instead, I have chosen to communicate directly with you in this DVD format that is accessible and convenient for us all. This is the first grassroots, for your information, DVD on voter education. The purpose of this DVD is to inform and prepare you as a voter for possible changes in identification requirements that could impact your ability to vote in elections. This DVD is for registered voters. Even though you are a registered voter, you must have proper voter identification when you arrive at the polls to vote. Just recently, in June 2005, the Pennsylvania House of Representatives passed House Bill 1318. This bill includes several amendments that would add stringent new requirements to Pennsylvania's election code. These new requirements include 1. Requiring voters to show a photo ID every time they go to the polls. 2. Requiring voters to sign the registration book at the polling place in blue or black ink. 3. Making it a misdemeanor for a person to give an absentee ballot application to a person who is not eligible to cast an absentee ballot. 4. Another measure would prohibit felons from voting until the end of their maximum possible sentence, even if they have served a portion of the sentence, been released on parole, and lived as model citizens since their release. At present, felons can vote, so long as they are not currently incarcerated for a conviction of a felony. Some of the state representatives from Philadelphia feel that this bill will leave many voters disenfranchised. In other words, many people would lose their right to vote. If this bill passes the Pennsylvania State Senate, possibly as early as September 2005, many of our senior citizens and minority residents could be turned away from the polls in the November election. This bill, although advertised as a way to deter voter fraud, actually aims at influencing Pennsylvania's statewide elections and national elections by keeping Philadelphia and Pittsburgh residents away from the polls. If this happens, the issues faced by our two major Pennsylvania cities will always lose out to the rural interests of the rest of the Commonwealth. It has also been stated by some state representatives from Philadelphia that these repressive measures were hidden inside a seemingly harmless bill to increase the salaries of election poll workers. Obviously, with our state legislature actively seeking to limit our voter participation, Philadelphia voters need to be prepared to vote by having proper identification when it comes to time to vote. Here's how to prepare. First, If you have a current up-to-date voter identification card, you do not need to have a photo identification. However, with the increased attention to Homeland Security issues, I strongly recommend that you obtain a valid photo identity card. In Pennsylvania, a non-driver's license is your valid photo ID. To get a non-driver's license, you will need two things: identification and proof of residency. For identification, you will need a Social Security card that is not laminated. Now, let's talk about how to get a Social Security card. When you want to get your Social Security card, you need to have documents that give proof of age, identity, and United States citizenship. For proof of age, you will need a birth certificate, which is preferred, or a hospital birth record that was made at the time of your birth, or a religious record showing your age that was made before you were 3 months old, or a passport, or an adoption record. This adoption record needs to have the birth information from the original birth certificate. Now, for proof of identity, you need a driver's license or an employee ID card, or a passport, or a marriage or divorce record, or an adoption record if you are not using it for proof of age, or a military record, or a life insurance policy, or a school ID card. For proof of citizenship, you need documents that show you were born in the United States, or a United States consular report of birth if you were born outside of the United States, but you are a United States citizen, or a certificate of citizenship, or a certificate of naturalization, or a document that is not expired that was issued by the Department of Homeland Security showing your immigration status. A receipt that shows you applied is not acceptable. First, you need to have the basic information to complete an application: your place of birth, an address where to send your new Social Security card in 10 to 14 days. Now, with an application for a Social Security card, you can apply for your first Social Security card, a duplicate Social Security card, a corrected Social Security card. You normally get a corrected card if your name is spelled wrong on your card, need to change your name because of getting married, need to change your name because of adoption, or want to change your name back because of divorce. A change of information on your record that is not changing your name. If you are applying for someone's first Social Security card and they are under 18, you need to fill in their mother's maiden name and their father's name. If you do not have the Social Security numbers of one of both parents, they will still be able to get a Social Security number and card. If you are getting a corrected Social Security card, you will need to have the name that appeared previously on your Social Security card and the new name that you want to appear on your new Social Security card. If you want a Social Security card, you can apply through the mail or by bringing a filled out application to one of the 9 Social Security offices in Philadelphia. If you want more information or want to download an application, you can find it at http://www.ssa.gov/ that's http://www.ssa.gov/. Once you have your Social Security card, you will also need one of the following: a birth certificate with a raised seal, a certificate of naturalization, a valid United States passport, a United States military photo ID card, or an out-of-state driver's license. Now let's talk about how you can get a copy of a birth certificate. Where do you go? You can apply at the Philadelphia State Office Building, which is located at 1400 West Spring Garden Street in room 1009 on the 10th floor. But you can also apply online or get additional information at www.health.state.pa.us/vital records. That's www.health.state.pa.us/vital records. For all birth certificates, you need background information about the person whose certificate you are requesting and a copy of your own identification. I'll tell you the types of identification that you will need in a moment. But first, Let's find out what background information you will need about the individual whose birth certificate you are requesting. There are 6 basic pieces of information that's needed. 1. The birth name of the person whose certificate you want. 2. That person's date of birth. 3. The place of birth or the country and city of birth. 4. The hospital where the person was born. 5. The full maiden name of the person's mother. And finally, 6. The full name of the person's father. Now let's talk about the requirements of the person requesting the birth certificate copy. The first requirement is that you must be 18 years old or older to apply for a copy of a birth certificate. The second requirement is that you must have your own identification to obtain a birth certificate copy. These are the forms of identification you can use. A government-issued photo ID. This could be one of 3 things: a valid driver's license with your current address, or a non-driver's photo ID with your current address, or a passport. If you don't have any of these types of picture ID, you can also show 2 forms of mail with your name and current address to obtain a copy of a birth certificate. Examples of mail could be your utility bill or a letter from an organization with your current address. Now, you're ready to complete your application for a certified copy of a birth certificate. But before you apply for the birth certificate copy, you need to know, how much will it cost? It costs $10 for each copy of a birth certificate. Cash is not accepted. You must have a money order or check for $10. The money order or check should be made payable to Vital Records. That's VITAL RECORDS. But there is no fee for birth records of active or inactive members of the armed forces and their dependents. If this is your situation, you will need the armed forces member's name, their service number, as well as their rank and branch of service. Now you're ready to go to the Philadelphia State Office at 1400 West Spring Garden Street in room 1009 on the 10th floor and apply for a certified copy of a birth certificate. I'm here to apply to get a birth certificate. I just completed the check. Who should I make it payable to? Vital Records?
It's $10 fee. It's $10 each one.
Okay. I only need one.
Okay, $10.
Okay. Now, what are all the requirements of the things that I would need to get my birth certificate if I didn't have my photo ID with my address?
Okay. If you did not have your driver's license or state issued ID that verified your name and address, we require 2 documents. Okay? And we'll take any of the following: gas, electric, telephone, pay stub, bank statement, a lease or a deed, a voter's registration. We'll even take medical bills, creditors' bills. We'll take a variety of things. So we need you to provide those documents to us, and it's 2.
I need to have 2 documents.
2 documents. We don't take advertisements. We don't take like junk mail or anything like that. And we don't take the outside of the envelope. Whatever is inside the envelope has to have your name and address on it.
Okay, so if I got a bill from a magazine company, it has to be this. My name and address has to be on the inside of the envelope.
Inside the envelope, your name and address has to be listed, and it has to be an invoice. If you subscribe to Essence or Ebony or anything like that, we'll take an invoice from them. We take a variety of things to try to give people as much opportunity to be able to apply as possible. In any event that you do not have any ID, no driver's license, no bills whatsoever, we allow your mother, father, grandparent, biological brother or sister to apply on your behalf.
Oh.
Even if you have children over the age of 18, we will also allow them to apply.
Okay, okay. And if someone's in the military, would they be able to get their birth certificate also?
Yes, and
There's no fee if...
the requirements are still the same though. We still have to verify who you are and where you live.
Okay.
So if you're in the service, we'll take your papers to tell you exactly where you're going to be staying at, like you know, the military uniform. They may be in a different state, so they may have a Pennsylvania ID, but they may be stationed over somewhere else in another state. But we'll still need verification at that point as well.
Okay.
Okay? But in some circumstances, they will take like a passport or something like that as well.
Okay. Thank you so very much. So, will I be able to get my driver's license back after you finish?
Oh, definitely. We only need to see it. We do not keep your driver's license in. Only time we photocopy it is if you're coming back with a certificate.
So you would photocopy my bill also?
Yes. But we're only verifying who you are. Make sure that your signature is the same as on the application, that your address is the same as well, and then we give it right back to you.
Okay.
We do not keep it.
Oh, thank you so much. And I can get my my birth certificate. Will it come to me in the mail?
Your birth certificate is mailed to you.
Okay, and it will be there within 2 to 4 days?
Within 2 to 4 days, if we expedite it, 5 to 10 is normal process.
Okay.
Okay, we do take any state's driver's license or state issue ID. It doesn't have to just be Pennsylvania.
Okay, thank you so much.
I hope I answered all your questions.
Yes, you did.
All right. Take care and have a good day.
You too. For proof of residency, you will need 2 of the following. 1, current utility bills, water, gas, or electric. 2, W-2 form. 3, tax records. 4, lease agreements. 5, mortgage. 6, current weapons permit. Once you have your identification and proof of residency documents, your next stop is to visit your nearest PennDOT driver's license office. There are 12 PennDOT offices in Philadelphia. Call 1-800-932-4600 for PennDOT assistance. That's 1-800-932-4600, or go online at www.state.pa.us. That's www.state.pa.us. You will need a check or money order for the $10 non-driver's license fee. Cash is not accepted. Make the check or money order payable to PennDOT.
How can I help you today?
I'm here to get a non-photo identification card,
Okay. Do you have your original,
non-driver's identification card.
you have your original birth certificate?
Yes, I do.
You have your original social security card?
Yes, I also have that.
You also have 2 proof of residency?
Yes, I think I have a utility bill.
Okay. You have 2 of those?
I have a utility bill, and, oh, that's right, I do have my water bill with me
Okay,
also.
that'll work. Do you also have a $10 check or money order payable to PennDOT?
Yes, I do have a $10 money order.
Okay. Here's your number. What you're going to do is have a seat between station 1 and 8 and look out for your numbers.
Station 1 and 8?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Just
right.
head straight across.
Straight
All
across?
the way down.
Okay, thank you.
985.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, I'm here to get my identification.
I need your birthday and signature, please. Now, what can I do for you?
I'm here to get a non-driver's photo ID.
Okay, have you ever had one before?
No,
Okay, have you had a learner's permit or a driver's license before?
no.
Okay, the requirements are you need a birth certificate, a social security card, and 2 proofs of your Pennsylvania address.
Okay, I have, this is my birth certificate. These are 2 proofs of my 2
Thank you.
utility bills,
Thank you. And your social
And-
security card?
and this is my social security.
Thank you very much. I just need to make a copy of this. I'll bring it right back. Okay,
Okay,
this is the form you have to fill out. Right here.
okay,
First name, last name, first name, date of birth, your social, height, everything that has checks in it. You sign right there and your telephone number. I just have to make a copy of this. I'll bring it right back.
okay.
Here.
Okay, well, I've just finished completing this.
Okay, I just have to put it in the computer.
Okay.
You plan to be an organ donor, ma'am?
No.
All right, ma'am. That'll be a check of money order for $10.
Okay.
All righty, ma'am. This is your camera card allows you to get your pictures taken. Make sure everything's correct before you sign it.
Okay, thank you. Let me go. Okay, everything is correct.
Okay, I need to sign in the red box on the dotted line. I need to stamp that. Take this up front to 9 to 10. Sit in any chair that has a star.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, come up. How you doing?
Oh, fine.
Yeah, is everything on here correct?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell me the last four digits of your social security number?
2774.
Thank you. Next, I need you to put your signature for me in this white box. Thank you. Next, I'm gonna need you to read the questions on the screen. Answer with the keypad right in front. Use 1 or 2 for your answer. Okay?
Yes.
You have a seat in that chair right back of you. You can sit back, relax. Okay, I'm gonna take your picture. Look right here, that red smiling face. Smile if you like. How do you like that picture?
Can you take another one, please?
Okay, ready? How about that?
Oh, that's better.
This is what your new driver's license will look like. I need you to make sure your signature, picture, and all your information is correct.
Oh, it's correct.
All right, you can have a seat right there to be up in a few minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As a currently registered voter with proper voter identification, you are now ready to vote. I believe that citizens must be alert and vigilant and educated about what is going on in their government. This is the best preparation for changes such as legislation requiring valid voter identification for registered voters when we arrive at the polls to exercise our voting rights. Remember, even though you are a currently registered voter, you may be required to show valid photo identification when you go to vote. Be prepared. Have your valid photo ID ready. Do not let your voice be silenced because of a technicality. It is my hope that you, my fellow citizens of this great county, will find this DVD to be a helpful tool. I'm Elaine Tomlin.
Yes, welcome to the Jobman Caravan, and today we're here with
Carlton Williams, Community Outreach for State Representative Dwight Evans' office here in Northwest Philadelphia, West Oak Lane, in the Germantown area.
welcome to the Jobman Caravan, Carlton.
Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, you have some knowledge for us today.
Yes, when Carvel came to me about talking about just empowering the people to educate them about different things that are going on that will benefit the neighbors of the community, the number one thing that we talked about was the whole voter ID law.
Voter ID law seems to be a real big thing. Can you kind of break that down for me? Because it seems to be focused on minorities, the Democratic sections or divisions or regions.
Well, Governor Corbett had proposed this legislation for voter ID to make it mandatory that you show state ID as well as already being a registered voter on this upcoming November election. Now,
and that's November 2012.
Yes, November 6, 2012.
Okay.
Right. Now, this of course has people in an uproar because it's looking like as a deterrent to make people not want to show up for election day. Now, I'm of the firm opinion of, people should have state IDs on them anyway for identification purposes, for emergency situations, to have ID on them anyway.
Absolutely.
But if going to the polls on that day, you happen to, leave your wallet in your car or at home, it's just that extra trip of saying, oh, I have to go all the way back home to get my ID and then come to vote. Things like that, it may, decrease the numbers for, voter turnout. But we wanted to take this opportunity to just empower and educate people so that they know exactly what's going on with the process of the whole voter ID situation.
Well, savvy people and people that are knowledgeable, they don't have a problem dealing with the system.
Right.
But the average layperson, working person, they don't want to deal with the system. They don't want to deal with the municipal service bill, and they don't want to deal with the police. They don't want to deal with no authority.
Right.
They don't want no hassle. They don't want to go through a whole lot of where authoritative figures are dictating to them, and kind of like speaking down in most cases.
Correct.
So, that is a big deterrent. And obviously somebody studied us enough to know that
Exactly.
if they came up with this concept, that would deter most people from, going through the hassle.
Right.
Not knowing how powerful the vote is, and seeing the results of us having that voter apathy and that lackadaisical attitude about voting where we are now, with all of these laws that brought about this ID situation and a lot of other devastating factors for us as a nation.
Right. I mean, there's, like I said, like the neighborhood is definitely in an uproar about it. They think it's like an obvious, blatant, smack in the face of, as far as the timing of this legislation coming up while President Obama is going up for his re-election as a deterrent. But I mean, people underestimate the minorities. Like the first time when Barack was elected, they didn't think that we would have the kind of turnout that we did. I mean, for my first time ever experiencing voting, I witnessed a line outside of polling places to vote. Normally, we can show up and go right in. I mean, there were lines going halfway down the street, and that was a proud moment for me personally. And I have no doubt that the people will come out in record-breaking numbers, because we always seem to answer to the challenge. Like if they say that we can't do anything or like won't do a certain thing, we always answer the call. Yeah, exactly. We answer the call. Yeah. So just to further equip people, to let them know so that they won't have this as an excuse why they don't come out to vote, as far as having the necessary information on on the day of the election. Now, when you show up to election day, if I may walk them through the process.
Please.
Okay.
That's what we're here for.
When you show up on election day on a Tuesday in November, you're expected to have a state ID with you, as well as being a registered voter already in the system.
That's state ID.
Right. State ID is either a Pennsylvania driver's license or a Pennsylvania non-driver's license. So anything that's a state government issued ID, like a passport, also would do. Now those are the thing, and like I'm gonna speak in a general sense, because they're still tweaking this law to this very day. But the bottom line, the one thing that they cannot change is state issued ID is accepted. So I'm gonna sort of walk through the process of just to make sure that that's what that they show up with. Now, if you already have a state ID, just remember to bring it with you. Now, if you don't have a state ID, you can very easily obtain one from PennDOT Center. Since you are in the best neighborhood in the city, Northwest Philadelphia, 7100 block of Ogons Avenue has a full-service PennDOT Center, whereas you don't have to go to Levick Street or downtown to have your PennDOT services done.
You get ticketed.
Right, you can.
Car towed.
Yes, indeed. You can go right to 7100 Ogons Avenue.
Off-street parking.
Right, exactly. Off-street parking, everything. We get into that commercial later about the great Ogons Avenue business corridor, but PennDOT Center is definitely one of those places that the neighborhood residents can take advantage of. You can go there, you can fill out an application to get your non-driver's photo ID. Now there's two things that you will need in order to obtain that license. You would need a social security card and a birth certificate. So if you show up with a birth certificate and a social security card, you will be able to obtain a copy of your non-driver's license. So once that happens, you should be able to, you know, there's about a 2 to 3 week waiting period, and you'll get a camera card. You can go back to the PennDOT Center with the camera card to take your picture, and you officially have a state issued ID, which should allow you to vote. Now, there are some loopholes in this situation. Certain people may not have one or the other. They might not have their social security card, or they might not have their birth certificate. And there used to be a catch-22 situation, because you normally couldn't get your state ID unless you had a birth certificate, but you couldn't get your birth certificate unless you had state ID. So it kind of was a catch-22 situation. So what happened is, with birth certificates, they created a separate application, whereas if you don't have government issued ID to get a birth certificate, you can send other things like 2 pieces of mail. Anything that comes to your house that has your current address on it will be acceptable in place of an ID. So that's a way, non-traditional.
Okay. Let's be clear. We said in the event that you don't have a birth certificate,
right.
In lieu of that, the mail coming to your residence will do?
Right. Any 2 pieces of mail that come to your residence, in most cases, would do, like utility bills, you know, mainly something that's, you know, sort of from like a city or state agency like PGW or PICO or something that has your name and address on it. You make 2 copies of those and fill it out with your birth certificate, which we'll be more than happy to help, you know, people process their birth certificate applications here at Dwight Evans' office. It's a $10 check or money order that has to be made out to Vital Records, and we'll, you know, send it up to Harrisburg for people, or they can put it in the mail, and they should get it back in about, you know, 4 to 6 weeks. But time is of the essence, because we want to have everyone prepared for November. So when November comes, we have no excuses why we didn't come out to vote.
Okay, now, so that I'm clear, for people that were born, say the elders, when they were born in the South, maybe by midwife or whatever, and a lot of them really don't have birth certificates, as we know it today.
Right.
Now, you're saying to those people that if they have any type of mail that would come to the address that they're registered under, they can bring that. That would be from electric company, water department, gas company. What about insurance and that type of thing?
Yeah, insurance too, and also another thing I forgot. Another way around that is a family member can file for it on behalf of the person. Like say the child is 18 or 19, and you know, of course, they don't have any, you know, bills coming to their house or anything like that. The mother can file for it on behalf of the child. So like, it's a requester section of the application, and also who the application is for. So you will put the mother's information in the requester section of it, and then she can get the birth certificate on behalf of her son. So that's another way too.
And you need that.
Yeah, you absolutely
definitely need that in the society that we live in.
Right. Now this goes into effect only if they were born in Pennsylvania. Now, if they were born down south, we would have to, I mean, and I've done it before, wherever you were born, the information is available on the internet. I can, you know, Google and find out exactly where they were born, and I'm able to print out the birth certificate application from whatever state that they were born from.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're here, man.
Okay, so why don't you give them your phone number?
Sure. I can be reached at 259-0220, and I am located at the office of State Representative Dwight Evans, 7174 Ogons Avenue. That's right at the intersection of 72nd and Ogons in Northwest Philadelphia.
Between 72nd and 71st.
Yes.
Okay, now give me the number again, please, call.
Sure, it's 215-549-0220.
Okay, so now and that we've covered most of that. If there are any questions or anything that we didn't cover, they can give you a call.
Absolutely.
Or anyone in your office.
Right.
And you know, get up to speed and get that information so they don't have any hassles at the voting, the day of the election.
Right.
Okay, so now I've noticed in some cities that they are kind of taking people off the voter rolls. I know in Florida, man, they're fighting that, and other cities that are predominantly Democratic strongholds, and union people, and you know, people that are more pro-Democrat. Now, this is not a Democratic interview. This is an interview about what's going on in the news media today.
Right, right.
So, what are the chances that this might happen to Philadelphians and Pennsylvanians?
Well, Philadelphia is one of the strongest cities in the East Coast as far as Pennsylvania when it comes down to the election as a whole from the United States. I don't think that there's too much of a presence of political awareness in this city to let something like that just come through at night and just all of a sudden it take on that kind of role. I think the people have an opinion and they would be able to definitely put up some noticeable resistance.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's not going to be a rollover situation.
Definitely.
Once it gets through the grapevine, or once people get wind of it.
Right. Definitely.
Okay. So the main thing is you got to have the voter ID.
Yes.
This gentleman is telling you what you have to do, and they're willing to help you regardless of where you live in this Philadelphia city. This is where this show is broadcast.
Right.
And all you have to do is call.
Right.
So it's not a question of, oh, I didn't know. If you're looking at the show, you can gather the information that this gentleman has given us and run with it. Mm-hmm. Because this is very important. You have to vote like your life depends on it, because it does.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. You definitely want to have some say in who's making the decisions.
Absolutely.
Regarding your neighborhood, your pensions, your health benefits, everything. Like, you don't want to just take it laying down, because when you don't show up to vote, you don't count. You don't have the right to have disappointment with what happens in the government if you didn't vote on election day.
If you don't vote on election day.
Like you waive your right to have an opinion with anything that's going on if you don't show up to vote.
Tell me some of the effects of not voting in the last election and how it affects us now. I know the school situation is
Yes.
up for question right now.
Absolutely.
So that's very questionable as to how. Well, I don't even know if it's questionable. Is it in stone, or they still just teasing us?
There's still some conversations that are taking place and everything. Like, they have been cuts already. There will be cuts forthcoming for the next year. Of course, they're trying to do everything that they can to prevent so many schools from closing down and everything. But just to piggyback on your point as far as what happens, the effects or the consequences for not voting. If you're not happy with who has the big seat in Harrisburg right now, we have to take a personal responsibility on that, because if more people are fed up now from what's going on with all these cuts or whatever, they should have voted. They should have shown their emotion by showing up to their polling place on election day.
And be proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly.
Yeah, because right now everybody's boo-hooing and sobbing, but it's all on us.
Right. Yeah.
Not the people that voted, but the ones that sat home and felt that it didn't involve them.
Right, right.
So, a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. I don't want to paint a gloom and doom picture, but right now it seems like it's going to be rough for a lot of people.
Right.
Educated people, well-off people, people that are in the middle of mortgages, people that have responsibilities and so forth,
Yeah.
And there's no alternative. It would be great if you said, okay, well, we're going to shut this down, but we're opening this up.
Right, exactly.
Now there's
not just shut it down, see you later,
Yeah. And that has a lot to do with the administration, and has a lot to do with people not coming out to vote.
Absolutely.
So the youngsters right now that are benefiting from the blood, sweat, whippings, dogs, hoses, brutal police brutality,
right,
picketing, sit-ins,
right,
need to understand that this is a privilege that was fought for.
Exactly.
It's not like it's your God-given. Yeah, it is your God-given right, but we had to earn the rights.
Right.
And because a lot of the youngsters that didn't experience that don't really truly understand the value of it.
Right. Absolutely.
Until it's taken away from you,
right,
or until you have the effects of not voting on us like it is right now.
And it's the same conversation. I was talking to Representative Evans a couple of weeks ago, and he likes to tell the story of where West Oak Lane came from. of what it used to look like back in the 80s when he first became state rep, and he was had the challenge of what was he going to do as state rep? How was he going to use his power to turn it around to make it a place where people will be proud to live? Now, if someone moves up here now, they would say, oh, this is a good neighborhood, and it's always been a good neighborhood. But you have a greater appreciation of the neighborhood when you know what it used to look like. So if you have people that's growing up now when they just turned 18, and I don't see what the big deal is in voting, if they look back at their history to see how many of us died for the rights to vote and what we went through and the challenges just so that people could vote, they might have a greater appreciation for the privilege that they take for granted now.
Take for granted.
You know? So
okay, so listen, Carlton, is there anything else we can add on to this, man? I think we kind of really zipped through a lot. You know?
Right. Perfect transition from talking about.
Before that, do we have a website or any other information that people can go to for this information in the event that they can't catch up with?
Absolutely. The PIN-dot information that I spoke on as far as how to obtain a photo ID, they can go to www.dmv.state.pa.us. Now that's again is www.dmv.state.pa.us. Or what you can do is just Google PIN-dot, PENNDOT, and it'll give you options, and you can just click on there. And right on the first page, it has voter ID law, and it explains what's acceptable, what's not, what you're expected to have, and what you're not expected to have on there too. The Representative Evans website is www.pahouse/Evans, EVANS, and on there you'll see what's going on with the state rep. We have an abandoned housing inventory to show different, opportunities in West Oak Lane, because it's definitely a thriving neighborhood, and we would love for people to become, occupants and homeowners of, Northwest Philadelphia, the greatest neighborhood in Philadelphia. So those are those two websites.